In the middle of a field, far out in the countryside, sits a lone manor. That's the way it's always been, always will be. Then, why is she here? Why have you let her come? Hello, and welcome to the third day in my week-long stream for Storytellers Festival, where I am playing both mine and 2.5 Studios games that will be featured in the Storytellers Festival, which is hosted by 2.5 Studios. These games have been out. Their games have been out for so long, and I have not had the time to play them. So I really wanted to be able to do this and finally play my best friend's games. So today it is Amelie, their Girls Love that was made for Yuri Jam. So it was made in 2 months, which is an incredible feat for anything to be created in. And a little bit about the game. In the middle of a field far out in the countryside sits a lone manor. Inside that manor, in the middle of the field, far out in the countryside, lives Amelie and her dear friend Lilypad. Forbidden from leaving the house, Amelie awaits the arrival of her longtime pen pal, Sophia, to Lilypad's dismay. What secrets will Sophia unravel that were best kept buried? Will she manage to survive the night? Play as 3 different protagonists to uncover the full story and discover the truth about the lone manor in the psychological horror Yuri visual novel. Now this game is about 20,000 words long, so we might be able to get through the whole thing today. Not so sure. Now it does have some trigger warnings, so I did want to go over that first. The developers describe the content of this game as containing references to suicide, obsession, death, blood, bones, stalking, the pandemic, flashing images, and domestic abuse. Oh, the flashing images might get me. I'm not so good with the flashing. So if any of these things are something that might disturb or trigger you, please know what is best for you and consider if you want to watch or not. So, let's get started. And this will be a test, and if on the 3rd day, my screens will work correctly. They did. Excellent. Or not. I think it's my game this time. There we go. Oh, that's weird. Okay, I have no mouse in full screen mode. Begin. So you go through the game as 3 separate protagonists, and they will interweave, and you tell the story each one at a time, and each one unlocks as you've gone through towards the end of their story, and you find out more each time, which I think is just so cool. You really do have the biggest of brains. They make such cool stuff. They are absolutely my dev inspirations. They're just so cool. When I grow up, I want to be like 2.5 studios. Yours, Amelie, our title character. Hey, that's already really cool. The rain never seems to cease at this time of year. It pours from the sky in its unending grief, as if longing for something unseen. Thunder roared in the distance, enough so to make the young woman flinch, but not enough to make her waver. The pendulum clock on the wall swung back and forth, ticking down the time. Ooh. She seems to be late. Perhaps she's not coming after all, Amelie. There is no need to make such a sullen face. Mayhaps this is for the best. She wrote that she would be here, so I shall wait. Hey. I think I might have used this song in Moonflower. The young lady named Amelie sat upright on the lounge that rested by the entryway. Her back was straight and her head was level. Do you truly believe it's safe to have a visitor during the outbreak? Lilica, I believe we have been isolated long enough, and Sophia has written that it is safe. I trust her word. She would not endanger us. And if your pen pal turns out to be a robber in disguise, what then? Amelie smiled. She has a way with words that only a woman could have. A lady robber, then? Nonsense. By the way, Lilica, have you seen my letters? I can't say that I have. A knock sounded at the door, instantly halting their conversation. Amelie rose from her place and took a steady step forward before Lilica raised a hand to her. Allow me. The door groaned as it suddenly swung open and revealed the young woman who knocked at the door. She was drenched from head to toe. Amelie stood stock still, unsure of what to say. But that only lasted a moment before the woman at the door bounded forward and wrapped her arms around her. Amelie! Sophia. She blinked before finally allowing her arms to wrap around Sophia's back. Ma, you're completely drenched. Did you forget your umbrella, perchance? Or perhaps her umbrella got carried away by the wind. Lilica pushed the door shut, sealing the building. I didn't even think to bring an umbrella. The forecast said sunny all day. My fault for believing it, I guess. She is so cute. Look at that outfit. I want that. I can't believe you're truly here. Me either. It's about time, right? You're just as pretty as I knew you'd be. And you too. But what are you wearing? Seeing your house, I feel like I should have dressed up a little more. No, perhaps it is I that is overdressed. Lilica stood to the side, her arms crossed lightly over her chest. Her long hair reached down nearly to the wooden floor. Pardon my manners. My dear friend Lilica is here too. I believe I wrote about her in the past. I remember. I've kept all your letters safe, don't worry. As you should. Sorry, but is there any chance you have a towel? Of course. My apologies. I would usually have someone here to attend to us, but everyone's been sent home. Only the 3 of us remain. Let me fetch you a towel. Amelie knew not to run, yet a part of her felt the need to almost skip in joy. She wanted desperately to be back by Sophia's side, chatting about everything they'd missed in their letters. The two had been pen pals for as long as she remembered. Sophia's letters had first been delivered to the manor by mistake, but for some reason Amelie had felt compelled to reply. Since then, the two had been the best of friends, even having not met face to face. To finally meet now in the flesh had certainly been a great excitement to Amelie. She quickly retrieved the towel and made her way back to Sophia's side. Lilica stood a distance away from her, still looking vaguely unhappy. Sophia spun around, a look of surprise on her face when she saw Amelie. Sophia? Oh, Amelie. Please use this. Thanks. I'll bring an umbrella next time, I promise. Sophia lightly toweled at her hair and clothing, drying off from the rain she'd found herself caught in. Then, if you're now dried off, would you care for a tour of the house before afternoon tea? That sounds great. On your right is the pantry. Down that hall is the boiler room. You shouldn't have any need for those spaces. The two walked side by side, with Lilica trailing slightly behind. These are all the guest bedrooms. I have prepared this one for your use. If you find anything not to your standards, you can let myself or Lilica know. Amelie, I have a feeling your standards are much higher than mine. I've never even been in a house that looks like this. Music's so pretty, isn't it? No? Is your house not similar? Well, it's a lot smaller. There is no shame in that. You own your own property, yes? Yeah, I recently bought it. With your husband? What? No, of course not. I'm not married. Your father allowed you to buy a property on your own? Emily, you speak just like you write. I'm so surprised. And you speak quite casually. People usually say that about me. Being here, around you, makes you want to be more formal. We'll be playing Start Again as my fifth game. So my schedule has gone A Date with Death, Moonflower, now Amelie, and then I will have the In-Between, Start Again, and Heart Agency. And the In-Between and Heart Agency will be a little bit special because I'll actually be playing the Patreon beta versions of them. So you'll get a little bit of a look behind the curtain of what I've been working on with them. And then we'll have some announcements for the In-Between during Storytellers as well. So I'm pretty excited. There's a lot of work going on that no one gets to see, really. Patrons get to follow along, and obviously the monthly Kickstarter updates. But yeah, there's a lot that the general. Oh no! There's a lot that the general kind of public don't get to see on our progress. So it's going to be exciting to be able to kind of show where we're kind of doing with that at the moment. What need is there of formality between friends? That's true too. This is the morning room. And next door is the dining room. I think I'm probably going to get very stuck in Start Again because it's got puzzles and I'm absolutely terrible at puzzles. Very, very smooth brain. I didn't get that option in A Date with Death the other day. I must have picked a different option because it absolutely killed me in the demo when Steve said something about smooth brain, and it's one of my favorite insults and I can't even tell you why. It just makes me laugh so much. But I use it on myself a lot because it just feels right. This is the morning room, and next door, the dining room. We'll be having afternoon tea in the sitting room here. So many rooms. So many rooms. When you're just in tune with the game. Upstairs is my bedroom and the master bedroom. Yes, so A Date with Death released on December 8th, and that is 2.5 Studios' newest release. Dreambound is still in production, so they're working on that at the moment at the same time as they're working on that. Most of us, like indie devs in general, most of us are working on 2 or 3 projects at a time because they've all got different teams, and you kind of go insane working on just one project for a while. So we work on multiple things at once with different release schedules, and as one thing's releasing, that's the sales from that are supporting us as we're working on some longer projects, which is what I did with Moonflower. So while I'm still working on the in-between, I released Moonflower, so I didn't have to declare bankruptcy. Yeah, it's just, things take so long as a developer that if you were to only do things end to end, you'd be spending years between games when nothing's releasing. So you kind of have to, as difficult as it is, to really have lots of different staggered projects and in different teams, different release timelines. Some will have Kickstarter funding, some will just be smaller things that you can kind of fund yourself and release on a shorter timeline. Because for me, something like the in-between, that's all Kickstarter funded, but because my entire job is being a full-time developer, while that is in development, I have kind of nothing else that's supporting me aside from Patreon. So we try and do some smaller games that can help keep us afloat while our longer, more intensive games are in production. It's a lot of things to manage and all going on at the same time, but it's kind of necessary, and it's kind of fun as well because you get to work on multiple different things instead of just kind of focusing on the one thing for however many years at a time. Upstairs is my bedroom and the master bedroom. I must ask that you don't enter the master bedroom as it belongs to my parents who are currently away. Of course I won't go poking around anyway. All this walking has made me parched. Shall we take afternoon tea now? Sure, that sounds good. Why don't you have a seat with Lilica and I prepare the food? Dreambound is going to be amazing. So, yeah, they're working hard on that at the moment. And seen a few things on Patreon for that, and it's so beautiful. And once again, the puzzles are gonna get me. I got so lost in the escape room part of the Dreambound demo. Then I discovered I just wasn't clicking on something well enough. Why don't you have a seat with while Lilica and I prepare our food? Oh, I can come help. Nonsense, you are my guest. It would be remiss of me to allow you to lift a finger. If you insist, but I'm happy to help anytime. Thank you. I will be back soon. Please rest. Amelie. Yes? It's nothing. Take your time. Sophia slipped through a doorway and disappeared. Amelie smiled gently, feeling giddy from the bottom of her stomach. Isn't this lovely, Lilica? To have a new face in the house? Oh, it feels like forever. Yes, how lovely. I'm glad you are having fun at the very least. Are you not? I'm always having fun when we're together, Amelie. Ah, I see. Are you jealous? Worry not, my dear friend. Of course our friendship means just as much to me. I value you greatly. Just as much? Indeed. Come along, Lilica. Let us prepare tea. Did you finish the baking yesterday? Yeah, it was the wall for me too. The pastries are ready for serving. Excellent. I'll fetch the tea then. Allow me. A lady of your standing shouldn't be doing such a menial task, should she? Don't be absurd. Even Sophia herself seems to be fine in the kitchen. Did you hear how she jumped to help? What? Oh god. They always do that. I should follow in her footsteps. What would your parents think of that? I appreciate the sentiment, but they took with them all of the staff. I have little choice but to prepare my own tea. I see. Then shall I attend to our guest? I wouldn't want her to become lonely. Would you? I'll only be a few moments. Of course. Anything for you, Amelie. It would be a good chance for you to become friends too. I'm sure it will be. Lilica left the kitchen with slow, deliberate steps. Amelie turned back to the kitchen. I wonder which she would prefer. Long or green? Let's go long. Father imported this for Mother, but I'm sure she won't mind if I borrowed a little. There. Amelie retrieved her finest teapot and 3 matching cups. Pink flower blossoms over the white surface. Something about it reminded her of Sophia. I'm back. Ah. Sophia? Oh. Amelie. I'm sorry you scared me. She looks spooked every time she's left alone with Lilica. Is everything alright? Yes. I think I'm just a little tired. Good. I'm sorry for the delay. But I've prepared the tea and the pastries. So, this is what a high tea looks like. High tea will come later. This is just a simple afternoon tea. Will Lilica be joining us? I believe so. Was she here a moment ago? No, she wasn't here. How strange. She told me she was coming to sit with you. Perhaps she's gotten herself busy with something else. Should we wait? There's no need. It would be sad to let the tea go cold. Amelie poured tea into 2 cups slowly, copying the movement she'd seen Lilypad do time and time again. Did you have much trouble getting here? A little. My ride broke down, so I had to walk for a bit. Broke down? I'm extremely sorry. If the staff had been here, I would have sent someone to collect you. Oh, it's okay. It's just a little rain. I just wouldn't want you catching a fever. My medicine store has been running low of late. No worry. I usually carry ibuprofen with me. Ibuprofen? I haven't heard of it. Anyway, I'm glad you arrived here safely. I'll draw a bath for you later. I'll draw a bath for you later to make sure you're warmed up properly. Thank you. Amelie sipped at her tea before looking down at it with a confused expression. A little stale. I'll ask my father to procure a new batch when he arrives home. Where are your parents, by the way? Well, we were separated due to the plague. They took the staff to wait until a cure is found, and left me here with Lilyca as to not catch the disease. Right, I understand. I spent a lot of time separated from my family due to the pandemic too. It warms my heart to find another thing in common with you, Sophia. I was surprised to hear that it was safe enough for you to visit. Perhaps that means my parents will be back soon too. I think so. The world seems to be opening back up again. So what do you do, locked up in this big house all the time? Well, I usually spend my time sewing or playing music. I used to write, but... Well, my parents wondered if it was feminine enough. I don't really think that matters. If you enjoy it, then I say you should do it. Sophia... Then what about you? Well, I'm studying art at university right now, so I guess that's what I spend most of my time on. You attend university? Yeah, although I'm thinking about dropping out. Sophia, you truly are filled with surprises. You own your own land and you attend school? How jealous I am. Why don't you do the same? Oh, no, I'm not allowed. Of course you are. Anyone can attend within reason. But, well... Wouldn't it get in the way of my marriage? You're engaged? Amelie shook her head. No, not yet, but I'm already 19. I'm sure my father has prepared my dowry. An arranged marriage? Yes, naturally. I don't think I'll ever get married. Really? Doesn't your family object? I don't think they really mind, as long as I'm happy. You don't have to either, you know. You've given me much to think about. Much indeed. Now, I wonder where Lilyca has disappeared to. Well, it's no matter. The evening is already coming, and soon it will be dark. Shall I draw you a bath? That sounds wonderful. To be honest, I'm not hungry, so can we skip dinner tonight? Of course. If that's what you wish, let me show you to the bathroom. You may not believe it, but my father had taps installed. Isn't that wonderful? Like taps for a bath? That's right. We used to have our maids fill the bath, but now there's no need. Amelie, you're so strange. I have taps at my house too. Truly? You must live quite the lavish lifestyle yourself. I don't know about that. This is the bathroom. Allow me to draw the bath for you. One moment. With haste, Amelie entered the room and began to fill the copper tub. It sat in the middle of a spacious bathroom. It was something Amelie was particularly proud of. She smiled as it filled before rejoining her companion. Feel free to go inside and make yourself comfortable. I will return with a towel in a moment. Thanks, Amelie. She disappeared inside the room, leaving Amelie alone in the hall. I should like the sconces too. Where did I put those matches? Right here. Ah. You gave me quite a fright, Lilica. Where have you been? Preparing the guest room for your dear friend, of course. So how kind. Sophia is just preparing for a bath at present. I'm going to retrieve a towel for her from the linen closet. Amelie, I think it's best you send her home post-haste. What? Why would I do that? For all you know, she brings with her the plague. Sophia says it is now safe to travel. She believes father and mother will be returning home soon. I believe it is perfectly safe. And what if she lies? She wouldn't do that. Sophia is a kind and good-natured person. She would not bring any danger to us. Did you know that Sophia attends a local university? And she lives by herself with no husband. She says that if I wanted, I could also study. The lady of the house should not study, Amelie. You must stay inside the house and await your parents. But I'm sure Mother would want the best for me. Perhaps while I await her, I could go to inspect Sophia's school. Amelie. You must stay inside and await your parents' return. But don't you trust me? Have I ever led you astray? No, Lilica. I was just thinking that perhaps it truly is beginning to be safe. Look, I bought today's newspaper. Do you see the title? The plague runs rampant. Put any notion of leaving or studying away for now, yes? As soon as it is truly safe to do so, then we shall, and you will be reunited with your family. For now, it is just you and me. Thanks, Lilica. I'm glad you're here. As am I. Ah, the towel. Let me go retrieve it. Go ahead. The linen cupboard was filled with various towels and beddings, all clean and properly folded thanks to Lilica. Which would suit her? Pink towel, blue towel. I have no idea how the choices actually impact what kind of what's right, what's wrong, what kind of endings they even lead to. Look at the pink towel. She's wearing such a cute outfit. This one. It reminds me of her eyes. Oh. With her chosen towel in hand, Amelie returned to the bathroom door, where Lilica awaited her. She first knocked at the door, and when there was no reply, she opened it carefully. The sound of the tap running still came from inside. Excuse me, I'm coming in. Sophia? I knocked, but didn't hear a reply. I've brought you a towel. Ugh. Amelie first saw a slender marble-like back. Then she noticed the blue hair that fell on those shoulders, one side tucked carefully behind an ear. Oh, Sophia, please forgive me. I did not realize you had already entered the bath. No, it's okay. I'm sorry. You just surprised me. I'll leave the towel over here. Thanks. Did you tell her she must depart? No, I... Is something the matter? Are you feeling unwell? Your face is bright red. Sophia will stay until she decides to leave. As you wish. I'm sorry, Lilyka, but... The image of that small and beautiful back filled up Amelie's mind. I believe it is only fair after she travelled so far, and she is my friend. I will finish preparing the guest room. Let me come help, Sophia. Let me come help. Sophia, when you're done in there, you can come to your room. From the other side of the door, Sophia's voice came in return. Okay. Thanks, Amelie. The guest bedroom was freshly cleaned, with new linens on the bed and a lit lantern beside it. You did a fine job preparing the room so far. Thank you, Lilyka. Anything for you. I was thinking, tomorrow, if the rain was cleared up, we could open the greenhouse again and have morning tea there. It's been so long since we last used it. Didn't we already speak of this? You cannot leave the house. But surely the greenhouse would be safe. No one else uses it, and it's only a few steps from the back door. It is unsafe. You know this. What has gotten into you? Is it because of your friend? I just thought it would be nice to sit in the sun. You may sit by the window in the dining hall. Is it really so unsafe that even taking a foot outside would be dangerous? Yes. Sophia, I see you're done with the bath. Amelie shook her head, trying to remove the image that was still plastered to it. Were you talking about the greenhouse? Yes. Did you see it when you arrived? I did, but it looked as if the plants inside had died. Oh. That's impossible. It's barely been any time at all since the gardeners left. I'm sure the plants inside are more sturdy than that. Well, even if they have died, maybe we can go in and replant some things tomorrow. How wonderful! Have you not heard a word I said? It is unsafe to do so. Oh. Oh, don't be such a spoil sport. I think it would be perfectly fine. Well, it's getting late now, so I'll leave you to retire. If you need anything, my room is just upstairs on the left. Good night, Sophia. Lilyka left first. The door, which was still hanging slightly open, shifted as she went. Amelie, would you stay for a while? Is something the matter? Just a little homesick. Sophia sunk into the bed, sighing as her head hit the pillow. Of course. Why don't we chat for a while? Then come join me. Sophia gently pat the spot beside her on the bed. In the bed? Okay. The bed was still rather firm, unused by many guests. Amelie took a deep breath to calm her racing heart before she looked towards Sophia. Thanks for staying with me for a while. There's nothing to worry about. Truly, I wanted to spend more time with you too. Really? You don't find me boring? You are the most interesting person I've ever met. Don't be silly. I am being completely honest. You are truly so unique. I think the same about you. I've never met anyone like you, really. You wrote so much about yourself, and yet seeing you in person, I fear there is still so much I don't know. There's plenty of time for us to tell each other everything. Then tell me something about yourself. Something you've never told anyone. I'm partially blind in my right eye. Really? How well can you see? It's okay, just a little blurry, really. You tell me something. Well, when I was 12, I stole the cookie jar from the kitchen and blamed my brother. He was scolded for hours. What a mischievous child. I'm sure your brother wasn't all too pleased. Actually, it was his idea. He wanted it all and told me to tell my parents it was him if I asked. If I was asked. Oh, he knew I wanted it and told me to tell my parents it was him if I was asked. What a good brother. Where is he now? Did he go away with your parents? Amelie shook her head. He died when he was 16. Oh, I'm so sorry, Amelie. What happened? Scarlet fever. My family was left with only me as an heir. And what worth is a female heir? You're worth plenty, more than plenty. Thank you, Sophia. But some days I am unsure. It's your turn again. Truthfully, I said before I didn't want to get married, but that's not exactly right. I do. Oh? I just don't want a husband. Then... I'm sorry, does it make you uncomfortable? No! I also have thought that I don't want a husband. Whenever my father has brought it up, I felt sick to my stomach. How about coming away with me for a while? Away? Outside of the house? What about the sickness? It's okay now. You'll be okay. You could come to my house. I could show you around my school. You don't have to go through an arranged marriage if you don't want to. You would do that for me? You are my dearest friend, and I actually... Lilica? At some point, the two women had gotten close enough together that they could feel each other's breath on their lips. The two parted with reddened cheeks, Amelie quickly brushing her skirt off and standing up. I should be going to bed. Please rest well. We can talk more about it in the morning, right? Right. Good night, Amelie. I'll see you tomorrow. Lilica? It is late. You should retire to your bedroom. Yes, I shall. It's nice having someone else around, isn't it? I feel as if the manor is coming back to life. I hope we see Mother and Father soon. I'm sure we will. Shall I see you to bed? Yes, please. The hallway was darkened, with only a few sconces and candles lit along the way. Usually that would fill Amelie with a sense of comfort, but right now the flickering flames seemed to make her feel distressed. Whether that was because of the way her heart was racing, or the way her heart was beating, she didn't know. Ooh, that's pretty. As she rose up the grand staircase, her eyes lingered on the large stained glass window. The moon shone through the coloured glass and leaving a rainbow of colours over the steps. It caught her attention for only a moment before she retreated to her bedroom. Lilica, may I ask you a question? Certainly. Have you ever heard of a woman loving another woman as a woman would love a man? Where did you hear about such a thing? Nowhere in particular, it's just a thought that came into my mind. I think you are overtired because of all the excitement, Amelie. I think it best you get some rest. Yes, alright. Good night, Lilica. Good night, Amelie. Good morning, Lilica. I was just on my way to see if Sophia had awakened yet. Amelie. Sophia disappeared during the night. I believe she went to the same place your parents went. What? That cannot be right. Don't run, Amelie. Amelie dashed down the hall and knocked quickly on the door to the guest bedroom, which fell open with no resistance. Inside, the bedding was disheveled and her luggage was strewn about. This is not true. She wouldn't just leave without saying goodbye. Dearie me, I'm sorry. I told you it was a bad idea for anyone to visit, didn't I? Oh, Lilica, this isn't fair. I thought she would... There, come here. Lilica wrapped her thin arms around the young woman, gently patting her on the back. See, you shouldn't depend on anyone. I'm here. I won't ever leave you. Amelie clutched at her back, tears already falling from her eyes. We'll be together forever. That is part 1 done. Ooh, I really like how this moves. I think this is really cool. Okay, so Lilica's creepy, right? She's also got those like dead eyes as well, so like I feel like there's something so sus about her, and I actually know nothing about this game. I'm amazed that I've managed to go this long without actually finding out what the plot of this game is. Okay. Next we have Sophia. Oh, there's two Sophia. Oh, okay, so there's one Amelie. Two Sophia. Oh, is it one of one, two of two, three of three? Or is there two Sophia and there's three Lilica? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Sophia's turn. The rain never seems to cease at this time of the year. It pours from the sky in its unending grief, as its longing for something unseen. Thunder roared in the distance, enough so to make the young woman flinch, but not enough to make her waver. The taxi rocked gently as the road turned to rubble, and the rubble turned to overgrown dirt track. Outside of the window, Sophia could barely see a few feet away through the raging storm. It made her feel uneasy. In her lap, a letter. She read the words again, despite knowing them off by heart. Dear Sophia, I'm glad to hear that you are well. I am healthy, although I believe I may have a problem of the heart. It's gotten quite lonely, waiting here for my parents to return. I am thankful to have Lilica residing with me, but I still await the day my family will be reunited. But you say that it is safe enough for you to visit? Truly. I have never even dared to dream of being able to see you in the flesh. If it is true, then I will await you at the address written on the back of this letter. Yours, Amelie. You sure you have the address right? We're in the middle of nowhere. Sophia stared at the fragile handwritten address that Amelie had left her, had trusted to her. Yes, this is the right way, I'm sure of it. Her heart wouldn't settle. That pout is so cute. She's just so pretty. Meeting what would be a stranger in the middle of nowhere on a day like this? Who wouldn't be nervous? Yet, there was something else. Eagerness, a thrill. Something beyond mere nerves that turned into excitement. She could barely imagine the hand that penned the letters she had been receiving for years on end, let alone a face. But for some reason, her heart still beat hard when reading the words that the mysterious young lady of 19 from a manor far out in the middle of nowhere wrote to her. Desperate to calm her jitters, she pulled out her phone, looking to send her worried family one last message of reassurance, only to find that it wouldn't switch on. I'm sure it was fully charged. The rain was falling even more heavily now. Hope she's got cash and not relying on FOSS to pay for this taxi. In the distance, a building sprang into view. It was surrounded by a tall metal fence with an ornate gate firmly shut at the front. Just then, the taxi spluttered and rolled to a stop, smoke rising from the hood. I had this serviced a week ago. Is something wrong? Sorry, miss. Looks like we're out of action. It's okay. I think we're nearly there anyway. Pulling the cash from her wallet, she handed over her fare and stepped out of the car. The rain bucketed down from above, soaking her to the very core. She shivered as she dashed through the iron gate. Surprisingly, it pushed with little effort, not even a creak. She stopped in front of a large wooden door, finally free from the seemingly never-ending downpour. From afar, that door had seemed inviting enough, but now it looked awfully large and imposing. And yet, she raised her fist and knocked anyway. Silence followed. Is this not the right place after all? The door swung open, this time with a low, menacing groan. On the other side of that door was a fair girl with long brown hair and golden eyes. It wasn't her that answered the door. Some fuckery happening here. Sophia, forgetting the fact that she was soaking wet, rushed forward and embraced the girl. Amelie! Sophia. Amelie's gentle arms wrapped around Sophia's back in return, and finally all of Sophia's worries melted away. My, you're completely drenched. Did you forget your umbrella, perchance? Or perhaps her umbrella got carried away by the wind? that line was Lilica's. Does she have a personality? Split personality? I don't think Lilica's real. I don't think they've actually interacted or she's acknowledged her yet. I don't think she's real. Oh. Or perhaps her umbrella got carried away by the wind. Behind Sophia, the front door swung shut without any assistance. Although, she can interact with things, and she did knock. Ghost? Then why would she be speaking for her? Oh. Late again. I didn't even think to bring an umbrella. The forecast said sunny all day. My fault for believing it, I guess. I can't believe you're truly here. Me either. About time, right? You're just as pretty as I knew you'd be. And you too. But what are you wearing? Seeing your house, I feel like I should have dressed up a little more. No. Perhaps it is I that is overdressed. Sophia smiled. Somehow, her dress seemed to fit her writing style perfectly. Old-fashioned and yet very neat and respectable. Sophia felt a slight heat rising to her cheeks. She really was so refined and elegant. Pardon my manners. My dear friend Lilica is here too. I believe I wrote about her in the past. I remember. I've kept all your letters safe, don't worry. As you should. Sorry. Is there a chance you have a towel? Of course. My apologies. I would usually have someone here to attend to us, but everyone's been sent home. Only the three of us remain. Let me fetch you a towel. Amelie withdrew from the hug. She was a little taller than Sophia, despite both being the same age. Sophia peered up at her from below before she disappeared down the hallway and into another room. This really is a manor. When she told me about her house, I almost didn't believe it. A layer of dust rested against the tabletop. A along with a few other items. On the settee, a newspaper sat open. Look at the tabletop. Look at the newspaper. Feel the newspaper will have something sus. The settee was a deep emerald green. It looked almost unused, despite its apparent age. On it rested a newspaper. Opening a few pages, Sophia turned her head to read the headline, but from afar could only read the word plague. She reached across to pick up the newspaper. Behind Sophia, the window began to shake in the wind as her fingertips grazed the surface. Oh, it's so windy. She spun around just in time to see the door fly open, and the wind howl, and the howling wind filled the entryway. She scrambled to the door, and with great effort, shut it again. Phew. Amelie? When Sophia spun back around, the newspaper and the items on the table were all gone. Sophia? Oh, Amelie. Please, use this. This was when she went to... Right, she went to get a towel. I forgot what she was doing. Thanks. I'll bring an umbrella next time, I promise. Sophia took the towel in her hand. It was soft, but somewhat old. She lightly dried her hair and clothes, but still found herself cold. Then, if you're now dried off, would you care for a tour of the house before afternoon tea? That sounds great. On your right is the pantry, and down the hall is the boiler room, but you shouldn't have any need for those spaces. The two walked side by side, alone in such a big manor. These are all guest bedrooms. I have prepared this one for your use. If you find anything not to your standards, you can let myself or Lilypad know. Amelie, I have a feeling your standards are much higher than mine. I've never even been in a house that looks like this. No? Is your house not similar? Well, it's a lot smaller. There is no shame in that. You own your own property, yes? Yeah, I recently bought it. That's an amazing thing, though. Like, I mean, buying a house. The pandemic made prices in particular go friggin' crazy. Even the cheap areas in here, I mean, cheap, relative. Nothing is cheap, but the areas we've been looking to move have, like, doubled in price. Rude. With your husband? What? No, of course not. I'm not married. Your father allowed you to buy property on your own? Amelie, you speak like just like how you write. I'm so surprised. And you speak quite casually. People usually say that about me. Being here around you makes me want to be more formal. What need is there of formality between friends? That's true too. This is the morning room, and next door, the dining room. We'll have afternoon tea in the sitting room here. So many rooms. Upstairs is my bedroom and the master bedroom. I must ask that you don't enter the master bedroom, as it belongs to my parents, who are currently away. From the landing below, Sophia could see the door to the master bedroom. For some reason, her eyes were glued to it. Oh, that sound. It's like a little, almost like a wooden toy, but it sounds kind of like a crab clacking. Open the door. We're waiting for you. Of course. I won't go poking around anyway. Sophia shook her head, and time seemed to resume around her. Oh, but suddenly this is carnival music. Oh, this is so creepy. It's a pretty song, but also unsettling. All this walking has made me parched. Shall we take the afternoon tea now? Sure, that sounds good. Why don't you have a seat while Lilica and I prepare our food? Oh, I can come help. Nonsense, you are my guest. It would be remiss of me to allow you to lift a finger. Defy your fate. What just happened? If you insist, but I'm happy to help anytime. Thank you. I will be back soon. Oh, the way it's winding down. Please, rest. Amelie. Yes? It's nothing. Take your time. Actually, is it okay if I ask you something? Oh. Ugh. Oh, it feels like a little doll's gonna walk up bringing me into the room. Oh, of course it is. Is there someone else in the house with us? There's no one else besides myself, you and Lilica. And Lilica is... She's just gone into the kitchen. Didn't you see her enter? Right. My vision must be playing up. Is there something the matter? No, it's fine. I'll wait for you inside. The room was spacious and dead silent apart from Sophia's footsteps as she crossed the wooden floor. Each step was deliberate and slow as her eyes searched through the room. Nothing in particular stood out. Large windows showed a glimpse of the outside world through thick curtains. The rain was still coming down hard, obscuring her view. The window shook every now and then, but the wind had seemed to die down a little. Behind her, a chair at the dining room table had been pulled out, as if it was waiting for her to sit down. Amelie? Was that you? Amelie? Her hand rested against her chest, begging her heart to calm. Oh, Lilica. Whether a hollow laugh sounded through the room or not, she wasn't sure. She quietly sat in the seat that was left for her. The table was already set, but once again she noticed a thin layer of dust on the surface. Through the silence, Sophia could hear it again. Footsteps. But this time, from directly above. The master bedroom? In front of her eyes, Sophia watched the scene unfold. A woman, not older than 40, removed her shoes and stepped onto the table. Yet nothing was disturbed. She reached up and took hold of the noose. The rope wrapped around her neck like the finest pearl necklace. Join me. The woman's eyes locked onto Sophia's. Her hand was outstretched, waiting to be taken. A rusty smell filled her nose. accented with the faint smell of perfume. Sophia shivered in response, her breath frosty on her lips. She reached for the hand. Don't reach for the hand! Don't do that! She reached for the hand slowly. I'm back. Sophia? Oh, there it is again. Defy your fate. I don't know what that button does. Do I have to press it? Does it go away if I ignore it? I'm just scared to press it. Sophia? Oh, Amelie. I'm sorry, you scared me. Is everything alright? Sophia stared at the spot the woman was only a moment ago. Both she and the news had disappeared. Amelie, Something is the matter, isn't it? Did something happen within this room? Happen? What exactly do you mean? Did... Hang on. Did... Oh, hey, what? If you go back, you can read what... You can see what you've already read, because it's in a different color now. That's cool. How did they do that? Did a woman with brown hair tied into a bun and a dark green dress ever live here? Well, it sounds to me like you're describing my mother. Your mother? Yes. She's just as you described, but you couldn't have seen her here. She's still away. Right. Let me pour us some tea before it gets cold. Will Lilypad be joining us? I believe so. Was she here a moment ago? No, she wasn't here. How strange. She told me she was coming to sit with you. Perhaps she's gotten herself busy with something else. Should we wait? There's no need. It would be sad to let the tea go cold. Sophia watched as the tea filled out 2 of the 3 cups. The 3rd cup sat empty. For some reason, the very sight filled her with dread. She picked up the cup and put it to her lips. It was oolong tea. Oh, that's remembers. The taste was bitter and musty. Yeah, delightful. With her heart on edge, she placed the cup back down on the saucer, smiling towards Amelie. Did you have much trouble getting here? A little. My ride broke down, so I had to walk for a bit. Broke down? Oh, I'm extremely sorry. If the staff had been here, I would have sent someone to collect you. It's okay, it's just a little rain. I just wouldn't want you to catch a fever. My medicine store has been running low of late. No worries, I usually carry ibuprofen with me. Ibuprofen? I hadn't heard of it. Anyway, I'm glad you arrived here safely. I'll draw a bath for you later to make sure you are warmed up properly. Thank you. Amelie sipped at her tea before looking down at it with a confused expression. A little stale. I'll ask my father to procure a new batch when he arrives home. Where are your parents, by the way? We were separated due to the plague. They took the staff to wait until a cure is found, and left me here with Lilypad as to not catch the disease. Right. I understand. I spent a lot of time separated from my family due to the pandemic too. It warms my heart to find another thing in common with you, Sophia. I was surprised to hear it's safe enough for you to visit. Perhaps that means my parents will be back soon too. I think so. It seems the world seems to be opening back up again. So what do you do? Locked up in a big house all the time? Well, I usually spend my time sewing or playing music. I used to write, but, well, my parents wondered if it was feminine enough. I don't really think that matters. If you enjoy it, then I say you should do it. Sophia, then what about you? Well, I'm studying art at university right now, so I guess that's what I spend most of my time on. You attend university? Yeah, although I'm thinking about dropping out. Sophia, you truly are filled with surprises. You own your own land and you attend school. How jealous I am. Why don't you do the same? Oh no, I'm not allowed. Of course you are. Anyone can attend within reason. But, well, wouldn't it get in the way of my marriage? You're engaged? Amelia shook her head. No, not yet. But I am already 19. I'm sure my father has prepared my dowry. An arranged marriage? Yes, naturally. I don't think I'll ever get married. Really? Doesn't your family object? I don't think they really mind, as long as I'm happy. You don't have to either, you know. You've given me much to think about. Much indeed. Now, I wonder where Lilypad has disappeared to. Well, it's no matter. The evening is already coming, and soon it will be dark. Shall I draw you a bath? That sounds wonderful. To be honest, I'm not really hungry, so can we skip dinner tonight? Of course, if that's what you wish. Let me show you to the bathroom. Before she left the room, Sophia took one last look back at where that noose once hung. We have taps! Cool! What century are you from? Actually, that sounds like, I think that might be a very good question. You may not believe it, but my father had taps installed. Isn't that wonderful? Like, taps for a bath? That's right. We used to have our maids fill the bath, but now there's no need. Amelie, you're so strange. I have taps at my house too. Truly? You must live quite the lavish lifestyle yourself. I don't know about that. This is the bathroom. Allow me to draw the bath for you. One moment. Alone in the hallway, Sophia peered back up the grand staircase, past the large stained glass window, and at that dark door, shut tight. A moment later, Amelie popped back out of the bathroom. Feel free to go inside and make yourself comfortable. I will return with a towel in a moment. Thanks, Amelie. I don't know if my broadcast is doing what it should be and blocking out outside noise, but there is quite the clatter coming from my kitchen. It sounds like someone's just dropped everything. Water spewed from the rusty pipes into the steel-lined wooden bathtub. Everything else was silent. Sophia took careful steps forward and peered into the bath. All seemed normal. With a sigh, she finally let her shoulders relax. Yet, in her mind, all she could see was that woman, with her hand outstretched, reaching towards her. She clutched her hand over her chest. It still shook. Sophia stumbled forward until her hands rested on either side of the washroom basin. Her fingers held on tight until her knuckles were bone white. It's okay, Sophia. You're just tired. Her eyes travelled up to the mirror. It was embellished with a golden frame. She stared at her reflection. She was still herself. It was all a figment of her imagination. That's when she saw it. In the mirror, standing behind her, was a young woman with long blonde hair that nearly reached down to the floor and deep, blood-red eyes. She didn't try to speak or make any movement. She just stared with big, dark eyes. Sophia wanted to spin around to confront the girl, but her whole body was frozen stiff. The young woman finally started to move, one step at a time. Maintaining eye contact through the mirror, she crept closer and closer, until Sophia swore that she could feel her breath on the back of her neck. Her mouth seemed to be moving, but no words escaped her lips. "Who are you?" She spun around, but no one was there. The water overflowed from the tub, spilling out over the floor. Sophia rushed to turn the tap off and noticed it. The water that came from the tap was red. Oh, this is really cool. A dark, deep red. She hurriedly turned the tap for what felt like forever, and it finally stopped. Sophia stared at the dark liquid inside the tub. Without a thought, her hand dipped in, and when she withdrew it, each finger was dyed red. Why would you stick your hand in that? Don't do that. Something about it captivated Sophia. She undressed one layer at a time, peeling away the still damp clothing, and stepped forward and into the bathtub. What is this? She's in some sort of thrall here, like, surely this is not a reasonable thing to do. She sank down, until everything under her shoulders was submerged in the liquid. It felt heavier than water, much heavier. As she stared directly ahead, those blood-red eyes reflected in her mind. Why not just end it here? You're scared, aren't you? Just sink down. Accept your fate. Accept it. She could no longer hear the sound of the door opening as her face sunk down into the liquid, her eyes shut. Sophia? I knocked, but I didn't hear a reply. I brought you a towel. Ah. Sophia's eyes sprung open. The water was clear, and the tap was still running, causing it to overflow onto the floor once again. Sophia drew her knees to her chest, still facing away from Amelie's voice. Heat rose to her cheeks. Being seen like this by her. Oh, Sophia, please forgive me. I didn't realize you had already entered the bath. No, it's okay. I'm sorry, you just surprised me. I'll leave the towel over here. Thanks. The door shut again. Sophia finally turned back to look at where Amelie once stood. No one was there anymore. Not Amelie, not the woman in a long green dress, or the young lady with blonde hair. She sighed. What's going on? She sunk into the water, although this time fully conscious of what she was doing. Not feeling all that much better, she stepped out and took hold of the towel that Amelie had left for her. Water fell from her body as she stared at the cloth. The towel was pink, similar to her favourite hoodie. The towel was old, full of holes and what seemed to be burn marks. Reluctantly, she wrapped it around her body. From outside the door, Amelie's voice called out to her. Let me come help. Sophia, when you're done in there, you can come to your room. Okay. Thanks, Amelie. Who was she helping? Lilica? She shivered. The room had become awfully cold, and the towel did little to bring her warmth. She picked up her discarded clothes and redressed. Her clothes felt foreign and wrong on her. Sophia took a deep breath and swallowed hard. I'm okay. The hall was already darkened, with no light spilling in from the windows. A few sconces attached to the walls were lit with live flames, but it offered little in the way of calming her. Step, step, step. The floor creaked under her weight. She stopped outside her bedroom. Inside, she could hear talking. She put her ear to the door. Didn't we already speak of this? You cannot leave the house. But surely the green room would be safe. No one else uses it, and it is only a few steps from the back door. It is unsafe. You know this. What's gotten into you? Is it because of your friend? I just thought it would be nice to at least sit in the sun. Then you may sit by the window in the dining hall. Is it really so unsafe that even a foot outdoors would be dangerous? Yes. Sophia opened the door and entered the room. Amelie stood by herself, making the bed. Sophia, I didn't see you're done with the bath. Sophia looked away, thinking of what happened in the bathroom. Were you talking about the greenhouse? Yes. Did you see it when you arrived? I did, but it looked as if the plants inside had died. Oh, that's impossible. It's barely been any time at all since the gardeners left. I'm sure the plants inside are more sturdy than that. Well, even if they have died, maybe we could go in and replant things tomorrow. How wonderful! Have you not heard a word I said? It is unsafe to do so. Oh, don't be such a spoil sport. I think it would be fun. I think it would be perfectly fine. Well, it's getting late now, so I'll leave you to retire. Oh, well, it's getting late now, so I'll leave you to retire. If you need anything, my room is just upstairs on the left. Good night, Sophia. The door shifted before Amelie could even touch it. Sophia's eyes locked in on the moment. Amelie, would you stay for a while? Is something the matter? Just a little homesick. Sophia sat down on the bed before resting her head on the pillow. It was hard. Of course. Why don't we chat for a while? Then come join me. Sophia gently pat the spot beside her in the bed. In the bed? Okay. Sophia looked towards Amelie in the low light. Right now, she seemed hauntingly beautiful, as if she were nothing more than a ghost. Thanks for staying with me for a while. It's nothing to worry about. Truly, I want to spend more time with you too. Really? You don't find me boring? You are the most interesting person I've ever met. Don't be silly. I am being completely honest. You are truly so unique. I think the same about you. I've never met anyone like you, really. Her mind flashed back to all she'd seen. Really, she truly had never met anyone like Amelie. You wrote so much about yourself, and yet seeing you in person, I fear there is still much I don't know. There's plenty of time to tell each other everything. Then tell me something about yourself. Something you've never told anyone. I'm partially blind in my right eye. Really? How well can you see? No, it's okay. It's just a little blurry, really. You tell me something. You tell me something, she thought. Tell me what's going on here. Tell me I'm not insane. Well, when I was 12, I stole the cookie jar from the kitchen and blamed my brother. He was scolded for hours. What a mischievous child. I'm sure your brother wasn't all too pleased. Actually, it was his idea. He knew I wanted it and told me to tell my parents it was him if I was asked. What a good brother. Where is he now? Did he go away with your parents? Amelie shook her head. He died when he was 16. Oh, I'm so sorry, Amelie. What happened? Scarlet fever. See, scarlet fever is not a... I have a feeling that, like, they're talking about different plagues. Like, she mentioned scarlet fever. That's not a common thing to die for. Not now. Feeling their plague is going to be like the bubonic or something. So my family was left with only me as an heir. And what worth is a female heir? You're worth plenty. More than plenty. Thank you, Sophia, but some days I am unsure. It's your turn again. Truthfully, I said before I didn't want to get married, but that's not exactly right. I do. Oh? I just don't want a husband. Then... I'm sorry, does it make you uncomfortable? No. I have also thought that I don't want a husband. Whenever my father has brought it up, I felt sick to my stomach. How about coming away with me for a while? Away? Outside of the house? What about the sickness? She only calls it the sickness. She never names it. Yes, away from this place. It's okay now, you'll be okay. You could come stay at my house. I could show you around my school. You don't have to go through an arranged marriage if you don't want to. You would do that for me? You are my dearest friend, and I actually... Lilica? Defy your fate. Oh, that button makes me so nervous. At some point, the two women had gotten close enough together that they could feel each other's breath on their lips. The two parted with reddened cheeks, Amelie quickly brushing her skirt off and standing up. I should be going to bed. Please rest well. We can talk more about it in the morning, right? Right. Good night, Amelie. I'll see you tomorrow. Amelie, wait a moment. Yes? What does Lilica look like? What a funny question. You've seen her plenty of times already. With my eye, I struggle a bit sometimes. Right, my apologies. She has long blonde hair, done up like this. Amelie pretended to put her hair in two low ponytails. What color are her eyes? Red, and she wears a dress of black and white with a red ribbon the same color as her eyes. Thank you, Amelie. Good night. See you in the morning. Amelie left the room. Meanwhile, Sophia's eyes studied the space. Oh. Accept your fate. Defy your fate. I'm going to make a quick save here. Actually, let's just pop a save. Oh, that's creepy. Empty. Always. Oh, that's a bit unsettling. I'm going to make a save here. And then come back to that later. See what it does. We're going to continue to press that Defy Your Fate button. Defy your fate. Are you here, Lilica? Silence followed. If I stay here, will I live to see tomorrow? More silence. She gulped. The flame by the side of her bed flickered wildly. Sophia laid back, shutting her eyes, but she felt as if someone was watching her, waiting and biding their time. Cold tendrils wrapped around her throat like a snake, cool like ice and getting tighter and tighter. She couldn't breathe, she couldn't even move. She opened her eyes, but no one was there. Sophia wasted no more time. She jumped to her feet and quickly shoved them back into her shoes and headed for the door. It opened without any resistance. Outside the room, the hallway was dark, lit only by a handful of candles and sconces. Sophia swallowed, then stepped out. The house was silent. Sophia took careful steps, but the floorboards still squeaked loudly underneath her. During the day, she hadn't even noticed it, but now, wrapped in darkness, it seemed as if every small sound would wake whatever was sleeping inside this house. Amelie? Lilica? She whispered, but heard no response. Upon being met with only more silence, her footsteps just sped up. Far in the distance, she heard something shift. A slight sound, one that wouldn't normally be noticed. But for Sophia, it was enough to make her heart race. She sped to the end of the hallway and stood at the bottom of the grand staircase. Above her eyes honed in on two doors in particular. The master bedroom and the door to Amelie's room. Amelie. The choice was obvious. She raced up the stairs and stood in front of the door of her pen pal's room. As she went to knock, the door fell open. "Amelie? Are you in here?" She received no reply. Oh, that made my skin crawl. Sophia's head spun around. From somewhere deep in the dark, a gentle tune was being played skillfully. Her arms dropped to her side. The sound consumed her. Sophia drifted back out of Amelie's bedroom, chasing that dreamy song. Step, step, step. Through the darkness, all that mattered was that sound. She came to the end of the hallway. A single door stood in her way. A bookcase was pushed to the side. Without a second thought, she pulled it open. In the center of the room, surrounded by candles, Amelie sat. Her skirt found out around her. I read that as skin! Oh, that's a very, very different mental image there. Spread out over the floors were piles of letters. Upon closer inspection, each was filled with words that had been crossed out and signed with "Yours, Marion." Amelie, are you awake? Her eyes were shut tight, yet her hands moved enough to play the sorrowful tune. Please listen to me, Amelie. Lilica she isn't... I'm not what? You're going to leave her, aren't you? Sophia heard the door shut behind her. She backed up quite quickly and tried the handle, but it was stuck. Amelie's eyes finally opened. In place of her usual golden eyes was a glare of deep red. Amelie, snap out of it. Please snap out of it. You want to take her away. Amelie, please. One by one, the candles blew out, and the two were plunged into darkness. Amelie's body slumped forward and crashed to the ground. It's nice to meet you, Sophia. I'm glad we're going to have a fun time living together. Since you will be staying with us after all, right? Yeah, okay, so 2 of 2. Sighed, Sophia, 2 of 2. Stay with us. Man. So, does Amelie not exist? Is it... Was she Marion? Oh, 1 of 2. So there's... Oh, okay, I see. So you can go through again and select. Okay, so there's 3. So there's, yeah, okay. So there's 2 endings there. Defy your fate or accept your fate. I feel like you're gonna die either way. Oh, you have to do it again. Interesting. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh, okay, I'm not... I don't know what's going to be... Is it just that end? The rain never seems to cease at this time of the year. It pours from the sky in its unending grief, as if longing for something unseen. Thunder roared in the distance, enough so to make the young woman flinch. Actually, I wonder... is that end persistent? Always look at if you're on save or load, I guess. I'll not tell you how many times I have saved over something instead of loaded it. Let's try going back to this choice and see if this will actually work too. Although I'm not sure if there's going to be anything different if you've played it once already. Let's try accept your fate. Kind of want to zoom through and see if there is anything different though. I think it's probably just going to be this ending though. For some reason, Sophia just couldn't sit still. She tried to lay down to rest, but turned this way and that, uneasy. I'll get some water. The hallway was dark, with most of the sconces having been blown out already. Sophia stepped carefully through the spaces, conscious of the sound of her footstep it's created. The kitchen was by the stairwell. Hand-painted portraits were lined up in rows on either side of the hall. She stared up at the grand staircase. Each step was inviting, enticing her to make the ascent. Her large eyes stared once again at the imposing stained glass window, and then to the doors that awaited upstairs. Her hand rested against the kitchen door, her fingers dancing over the handle. It stayed there as her mind debated with itself. Waiting. Come here. Come visit us. Her voice dropped, her hand dropped to her side as she ascended, past the glass window into the next floor. 2 doors awaited her. A chill ran through the air as the scene played out before her. 2 women dragged a man's body up the staircase, leaving a trail of blood on the otherwise pristine carpet. They pushed open one of the doors. The man's head hit the final step, but he made no move to stop them, nor cried out in pain. He was already long dead. The figures disappeared into the room. When Sophia blinked, the door was shut again. She trembled. The master bedroom. From behind that closed door, a voice called out to her, but the words were much too faint to make out. Her hand rested against the handle. Sophia couldn't stop it from shaking. With a careful motion, she pushed the door open. A musty smell came from further inside the dark room. Sophia, peering into the darkness, quickly took hold of one of the lit candles near the room and stepped inside. A portrait sat above a large canopied bed. The curtains were pulled back, hiding whatever was inside. In the portrait, Amelie sat beside a woman with a green dress and brown hair done up in a bun. Standing beside them was a man with an imposing brow and a large beard. A family of mice ran from under the bed and out of the room. Sophia jumped to the side, narrowly avoiding them. Step, step, step. Each step brought her closer to that bed. Each step made her chest feel heavier, tighter. She stood before the bed and reached a trembling hand to the curtain that hid whatever lay inside. A wind blew from somewhere unseen and her candle extinguished. Behind her, the door slammed shut and the room plunged into a near complete darkness. Amelie? Is that you? I'm sorry I came in here after you asked me not to. I'll just go now, okay? Her body fell forward before she had a moment to react. She tumbled through the curtains and landed on something hard that rested on the bed. What? The curtains flew open and the moon shone in from outside. The body she was expecting to find was absent. In its place, 2 skeletons, long ago decayed. They laid side by side, one smaller, the other larger. But now, one was on either side of her. Her scream pierced through the air, but no one came running. She tried desperately to squirm, to run, but it felt as if something was sitting on her, holding her down. As she struggled, she saw it. 2 dark red eyes hanging above her, watching. You won't take her from me. Oh, Sophia 1 of 2, she's mine. So maybe we... Oh no. Okay. It did unlock it, okay. Okay, well that was creepy. So I guess maybe Lilica has the 3 of those ending combined? The ending with Amelie and then the 2 possible endings for Sophia? Things are not looking good for Sophia, folks. Not looking good at all. Okay. Let's see. Here we go again. The rain never seemed to cease at this time of the year. It pours from the sky in its unending grief, as if longing for something unseen. Thunder roared in the distance. Enough so to make the young woman flinch, but not enough to make her waver. The woman... Oh, this is different. The woman sat beside a man with an imposing brow and a large beard. The man wheezed and coughed and kept hold of the newspaper in his hands. The front page read the following. Told ya. It's the bubonic. The Great Plague of London. 7,000 deceased. The man frowned at the words. How utterly preposterous. What on earth are these physicians doing? The lady next to him coughed into her handkerchief. When she pulled it away from her mouth, it was stained red with blood. I'm sure they are trying their best, my dear. Their best is going to kill everyone. Forget this rubbish. Amelie is still well, and finally of age to marry. We will arrange for her suitor before she becomes sick. If we send her out there, then she will surely grow sick. She should stay here, locked in her room, until it is safe to leave. No man would want to marry a woman who has spent her only good years locked in her bedroom. But she will be safe. Oh. Wow. The lady held her cheek, which quickly reddened after the impact. The Lord glared at her behind his bushy eyebrows. He sounds like a muppet. In more ways than one. You would do well to remember who she belongs to, who you belong to. The lady blinked, trying desperately to stop her eyes from welling up. Lilica, please come here. Her voice carried through the otherwise empty home. Time seemed to pause for a moment before a woman with blonde hair, cascading around her, entered the room. She wore the dress of a maidservant, and a neutral expression that wavered just so after seeing the mark left by the Lord's hand. She stepped forward, crossing the tile floor with slow steps that seemed to match the pace of the thunder that roared outside. The lady nodded to the maid. The maid nodded back to the lady. The moon reflected from the metal object in the maid's hand as she swung it down into the Lord's throat. Ooh. He let out a gargled scream. Blood splattered from his mouth as he tried to speak, tried to yell, but it was too late. He fell forward onto the floor, and the tiles darkened into a crimson red. He squirmed and crawled, searching for something that no one would ever know, before he was still only a few minutes later. The lady stared at the scene. Her heart raced, and a laugh escaped her lips. Finally! Finally! You'll never hurt Amelie. I hope you rot in hell. The maid wiped the knife across a small white hand towel. The stains that would never be fully removed. My lady, I will deal with the body. I will help you. It's much too much for you to carry alone. But my lady, you are sick. I will get no better sitting here. The two grabbed him by an arm each and dragged him towards the stairwell, leaving a trail of blood in their wake. No other words passed from their lips as they executed their task. They reached the end of the hall and began to ascend to the first floor. The Lord's head hit each step with a soft thunk. Thunk, thunk, thunk. Oh, now the word sounds weird. The house was silent in all other regards. Two doors sat next to each other. Both were shut tight. As the two women reached the top of the stairs, the maid pushed open the door to the master bedroom and entered. The room was spacious and clean, with fresh bedding left by the maid just the same morning. On the wall above the bed a newly painted family portrait. The two struggled and finally lifted the man into the bed. His face was stuck in a terrified expression and his clothes were ruined. "You will protect Amelie, right?" "I'll do anything you desire." "Then let us begin." Lightning struck somewhere in the distance, lighting up the otherwise darkened room and showing many things that should be left unseen. The maid removed her shoes and crawled into the sheets beside the corpse, while the lady dipped her fingers into the Lord's wound and drew a line of blood around the bed. She spoke to no one in particular, chanting words that should never be chanted. And when she was done, she stepped over the threshold and approached the maid. "Never let anyone hurt her. Protect her, no matter what." "I will, my lady." "Thank you, Lilyka. You'll never truly understand how much your actions mean to me." The lady leant forward and left a soft kiss against the maid's lips. It was brief and gentle, and something the two had wished to share for longer than either would admit. Ooh, the mum and the maid. That's unexpected. As the lady pulled away, the maid drew her knife, still smudged with blood, and brought it to her veins. "Goodbye, Lilyka." "Goodbye, my lady." The maid bled out slowly, painfully, slowly. The lady gasped for air and clawed at her neck. Everything in the manor became still. Everything apart from a young lady named Amelie, who sat in her bed upright, feeling a deep dread in the pit of her stomach. And another young lady named Lilyka, who stood over two corpses lying beside each other in bed. Okay. The young lady named Lilyka stared at the maid in the bed. Her own face. Oh, okay, she's a ghost. Her own blood seeping through the bed. And yet here she stood. She looked at herself in the mirror and saw a different person entirely. She was no longer the maid. She was Lilyka. Her voice was softer, her hair longer. It worked. When she turned back towards the bed, Lilyka froze. Both of the bodies were gone, and in their place, two skeletons. How long has it been? She walked towards the door and found it locked. Digging through the tattered clothes of the long-dead maid, she retrieved the key and opened it. The door beside the master bedroom sat ajar just enough for Lilyka to peer in. Amelie sat on the end of her bed, staring at herself in a small handheld mirror while brushing her hair. She hummed a quiet tune, but froze as her eyes met Lilyka's. "Who are you?" I am Lilyka." "Lilyka, but your mother told me you had a maid named Lilyka. What a coincidence. What are you doing here? How long has your mother been gone?" "My mother? I saw her." She sat and clutched her head as if she couldn't quite remember. "I saw her just this morning." "I see. Your parents have left to be cured of the plague. They have asked me to stay here with you until they can return. Really? A cure truly exists? That's right. So until now, how about we be friends? Amelie's face lit up, and their eternal friendship began. How many years had passed since that day? Neither could tell. Time seemed to stand still within that manor. Out in a field in the middle of nowhere. And that's the way Lilyka wished it to stay. Lilyka, a letter has arrived. What? Her blood ran cold as Amelie stared at the envelope in her hands. When was the last time we had a letter? How exciting! Perhaps it's Mother, writing that she will return soon? Perhaps so. Oh. It seems to be addressed to someone else entirely. Perhaps it was brought here by mistake. Then we had best send it back. Give it to me, and I will return it. A peek couldn't hurt, don't you think? Oh. Lilyka watched as the first crack appeared in her fragile world. I will dispose of it immediately. Give it to me. But it was too late. The letter inside had already been let loose, and Amelie's eyes had already taken in the words left for someone else. Sophia. Lilyka, I think I will write back. I will tell her that I have received her letter by mistake. That isn't needed. Please? Just one letter. Thank you, Lilyka. How many letters had arrived at the door since then? How many times had Amelie spoken excitedly about Sophia to her? Sophia. It was always Sophia. Sophia is the crack in this fragile reality. Sophia. I have to get rid of Sophia. Apologies to any Sophias out there. Lilyka? Lilyka's eyes opened with a jolt. I'm sorry. I'm a little tired. What did you say? Sophia says she's coming to visit. Another crack formed from the last. It sprawled across reality, threatening to shatter at any moment. Amelie, I don't think that's a good idea. The plague. She says it's safe enough to travel now in her letter. Perhaps Mother and Father will return soon, too. Lilyka forced a smile. But we don't need anyone else here. We have each other. Of course, and you are my dear friend, Lilyka, but Sophia and I have been writing to each other for... She shook her head as if chasing off the beginnings of a headache. For a long time, anyway. I'm excited to finally meet her. Won't you be excited with me too? We can all be friends. Right. Friends. I'm sure we will all be the best of friends. For an amount of time that neither Lilyka nor Amelie could truly comprehend, the house was suddenly buzzing with life. Amelie's footsteps were light, and her days filled with excitement as she awaited the arrival of Sophia. And finally, to Lilyka's dismay, the day came. The pendulum clock on the wall swung back and forth, ticking down the time. Lilyka stared at it, wishing that it would slow down even further. 10 minutes, then 20, then an hour passed as the two stood by the door awaiting a knock. She seems to be late. Perhaps she is not coming after all, Amelie. There is no need to make such a sullen face. Perhaps this is for the best. She wrote that she would be here, so I shall wait. With her face hidden from Amelie, Lilica scowled. Do you truly believe it's safe to have visitors during the outbreak? Lilica, I believe we have been isolated long enough, and Sophia has written that it is safe. I trust her word. She would not endanger us. And if your pen pal turns out to be a robber in disguise, what then? Amelie smiled, to Lilica's dismay. She has a way with words that only a woman could have. A lady robber, then. Nonsense. By the way, Lilica, have you seen my letters? I can't say that I have. A knock sounded at the door, instantly halting their conversation. Amelie rose from her place and took a steady step forward before Lilica raised a hand to her. Allow me to see if she should truly be allowed to enter. The door groaned as it slowly swung open and revealed the young woman who knocked at the door. She was drenched from head to toe. Lilica stared at her. Light hair and eyes, she almost looked like a kitten. Instantly, Lilica's dislike for the woman grew. Lilica stepped to the side just in time for Sophia to bounce through the door and wrap her arms around Amelie. Her blood boiled. She watched as the clothes she had carefully handmade become drenched by someone unworthy. Someone that didn't deserve to even look at Amelie. Amelie! Sophia! Amelie's arms wrapped around Sophia in return, and Lilica turned away. My, you're completely drenched. Did you forget your umbrella, perchance? Or perhaps her umbrella got carried away by the wind. With cool anger written over her features, Lilica shut the door. I didn't even think to bring an umbrella. The forecast said sunny all day. My fault for believing it, I guess. I can't believe you're truly here. Me either. About time, right? You're just as pretty as I knew you'd be. And you too. But what are you wearing? Seeing your house, I feel like I should have dressed up a little more. No, perhaps it is I who is overdressed. Lilica stood to the side, her arms crossed lightly across her chest. Her long hair reached down nearly to the wooden floor. Pardon my manners. My dear friend Lilica is here too. I believe I wrote about her in the past. I remember. I've kept all your letters safe, don't worry. As you should. Amelie side-eyed Lilica upon hearing her tone, but Lilica simply looked away. Sorry, but is there any chance you have a towel? Of course. My apologies. I would usually have someone here to attend to us, but everyone's been sent home. Only the three of us remain. Let me fetch you a towel. Amelie disappeared down the hallway, leaving Lilica alone with Sophia. This really is a manor. When she told me about her house, I almost didn't believe it. Has no one told you it is rude to poke around someone else's house? Sophia walked straight past Lilica without even a notion of responding. Hello? You can't see me. Sophia walked towards the settee and reached for the newspaper. Don't let her touch it. Don't let her touch anything. She'll break it all. She'll undo everything. She wants to hurt Amelie. She can't find out the truth. The windows shook loudly in the... Ooh, that's very hard to look at. Eyes have gone wiggly. With a flick of her small wrist, Lilyka allowed the door to fly open, causing Sophia to whip around in surprise. Ugh, it's so windy. Lilyka locked in on the object that Sophia had been reaching for. She rushed forward and took hold of it, and quietly hid it behind a cabinet as Sophia reached to close the door. Phew. Amelie? Sophia spun around, but looked straight through Lilyka. Sophia? Oh, Amelie. Please, use this. Oh, right. Once again, I forgot that she was going for a towel. Thanks. I'll bring an umbrella next time, I promise. Lilyka watched as Sophia dried herself with the towel. Our towel. It's not for her. There can't be a next time. Then if you're now dried off, would you care for a tour of the house before afternoon tea? That sounds great. On your right is the pantry, and down the hall is the boiler room. But you shouldn't have any need for those spaces. Sophia and Amelie walked side by side, close enough that their shoulders almost touched. Lilyka stared at the place where they almost connected, seething with a quiet rage. These are all guest bedrooms. I have prepared this one for us, for your use. If you find anything not to your standards, you can let myself or Lilyka know. Amelie, I have a feeling your standards are much higher than mine. I've never even been in a house that looks like this. No? Is your home not similar? Well, it's a lot smaller. There is no shame in that. You own your own property, yes? Yeah, I recently bought it. With your husband? What? No, of course not. I'm not married. Shut up. Your father allowed you to buy property on your own? Amelie, you speak just like how you write. I'm so surprised. Your voice disgusts me. And you speak quite casually. Oh, and you speak quite casually. People usually say that about me, but being here around you makes me want to be more formal. What need is there a formality between friends? That's true too. Your words are poisoning Amelie. This is the morning room, and the next door is the dining room. We'll be having afternoon tea in the sitting room here. So many rooms. Upstairs is my bedroom and the master bedroom. I must ask that you don't enter the master bedroom, as it belongs to my parents who are currently away. Of course, I won't go poking around anywhere. Lies. You're lying. All of this walking has made me parched. Shall we take afternoon tea now? Sure, that sounds good. Why don't you have a seat while Lilyka and I prepare our food? Oh, I can help. Nonsense, you are my guest. It would be remiss of me to allow you to lift a finger. If you insist, but I'm happy to help any time. Thank you. I will be back soon. Please rest. Amelie? Yes? It's nothing. Take your time. Sophia slipped through a doorway and disappeared. Amelie smiled widely while Lilica just stared ahead blankly. Isn't it lovely, Lilica, to have a new face in the house? It feels like forever. Yes. How lovely. I'm glad you're having fun, at the very least. Are you not? I'm always having fun when we're together, Amelie. Sever her fate. Ah, I see. Are you jealous? Worry not, my dear friend. Of course our friendship means just as much to me. I value you greatly. Just as much? Indeed. Come along, Lilica. Let us make tea. Amelie, I have something to say to you. You are my very best friend. Did you know that? I feel the same towards you, Lilica. And as such, I feel the need to be truthful with you. You appreciate the truth, don't you? Of course. I trust your judgment very much. Is something the matter? Okay, this might be something significant. So I'm going to save here just in case. Now, which lie are we going to perpetrate today? Let's just go down the list. Your mother has contacted me. She believes they will be able to return shortly. Oh, Lilica, this is wonderful news. Indeed. She was very excited for me to pass on her message to you, but... Keep lying, keep lying, keep lying. Well, she wasn't pleased to hear that you had someone visiting without her permission. Oh. I thought she would be delighted that I had invited a friend. I wonder if these options are actually different. Or if they're just... If everyone leads to the same thing, it's just an aesthetic thing. Your entire existence is a lie. Your entire. Of course, I pleaded with her that Sophia was a dear friend, but she wouldn't listen. I see. Did she say when she would return? No, but it seems to be soon. Then I'll send Sophia away like normal tomorrow. I can't exactly force her out into the storm, can I? Why not? Lilica. Naturally, I am just teasing. Of course, it wouldn't be right to send her away at a time like this. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that we've come to an agreement. How pleased I am to know that your mother will return soon. Let's go prepare tea, shall we? Did you finish the baking yesterday? The fun of Creative Commons is that you often find the same things showing up in different games, and it jump scares you a little bit. The pastries are ready for serving. Excellent. I'll just fetch the tea then. Allow me. A lady of your standing shouldn't be doing such a menial task, should she? Don't be absurd. Even Sophia herself seemed to be fine in the kitchen. Did you hear how she jumped to help? I should follow in her footsteps. What would your parents think of that? I appreciate the sentiment, but they took with them all the staff. I have little choice but to prepare my own tea. I see. And shall I attend to our guest? I wouldn't want her to become lonely. Would you? I'll only be a few moments. Of course. Anything for you, Amelie. It would be a good chance for you to become friends too. I'm sure it will be. Lily's smile in that moment seemed to hide behind it an intent much deeper than Amelie realized. The walls had eyes. Eyes that tracked Lily's every move. They followed her as she made careful, deliberate steps towards the sitting room. They stared, their eyes bulging, judging. They had no mouths in which to scream, but Lilyka could still hear their words. We all sacrificed ourselves for you. Hope, our only hope. Amelie, protect Amelie. Prove your worth. Prove your love. Amelie. 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 Under her feet, shattered glass pierced through her shoes, cutting her feet. She could feel the blood ooze out, pooling. It was warm, comforting. She looked up to find where the glass had come from. And then she noticed the cracks once again. Along every wall, every floorboard, even through the air. So they ritual sacrificed the entire staff? One popular kid. The world was fragmented. It was already broken. Not beyond repair. It's not. Milady, I will fix this still. You can rest. Please rest. I will take care of everything. Everything and anything and everything for you. She blinked. The world reverted to the way it should. The glass that lined the floor gone. The eyes that followed from the walls gone. And the cracks that had begun to wrap themselves around Lily's ankles had disappeared too. She stood in front of the sitting room's door, which sat slightly ajar. Inside, Lilyka could see Sophia staring out a large window. Her back stayed turned as Lilyka entered the room. Of course, it wouldn't have been possible for Sophia to turn and look at her. But Lilyka still found herself taking quiet, careful steps. The window shook past the dark, thick curtains. You would attempt to defy your fate? Why don't we see how long this little game lasts? Why don't we test whose love is stronger? I swear my love is unwavering, my infatuation, my yearning, my desire. You could never even wish to match it. Lilyka pulled out a chair roughly, dragging the legs across the floor. Yet you dare to challenge me. You dare test my love. Amelie? Was that you? Amelie? Sophia took careful steps towards the chair, resting her hand against it. Or Lilica. You're nothing. Sophia sat down in the chair that was offered to her, while Lilica circled around as if a cat after its prey. But her steps paused as she heard something strange. Footsteps from above. The master bedroom? In front of her very eyes, Lilica watched the scene unfold. A scene that made her blood run cold, her body freeze in place. My lady. The lady of the house stood beside Lilica. Where before she had stood eye to eye, now the lady stood taller than Lilica by at least a head. My lady, what are you doing here? The lady removed her shoes and stepped onto the table. Did you come to punish me? Are you angry? I promise. I will remove the plague that has entered our house. I swear it upon my undying love. The lady did not respond. Instead, she reached up and took hold of the noose. The rope wrapped around her neck, exactly where the necklace that the maid had gifted the lady should have rested. Join me. Her eyes locked onto Sophia's. Her hand was outstretched, waiting to be taken. Why won't you look at me, my lady? Are you truly so angry? Angry enough to despise me? For but a moment, as Sophia's outstretched hand came closer and closer, the lady's eyes turned slowly towards Lilica. They carried with it a message that only Lilica could decipher. Lilica's body shook. It trembled and trembled until she could bear it no more, and she ran from the room as fast as her legs would carry her. If this hallway still had eyes, they weren't fast enough to follow Lilica. The floorboards, as if made of quicksand, threatened to suck her up and bury her deep within the house. Her feet felt heavy and leaden. Every step was as painful as it was brief. She raced through the halls and up a flight of stairs, past the stained glass, which left a myriad of colours, over the carpeted steps, and past the doors that led to the master bedroom and Amelie's room. Closer, closer, until she arrived at a bookcase. She pushed it to the side and entered the hidden room. The room behind the bookcase was small, and not a single window faced outwards. Thus the room was near pitch black. Each wall was plastered with handwritten letters. Handwritten letters, clearly for Lilica alone. Her eyes, frantic, finally started to calm as she took in the words. Her words. Words left to her, for her, only for her. Lilica's eyes settled on a particular letter. Look left. Oh, has she been like scrubbing out? Is the mother's name Marion? Has she been taking the letters and, like, replacing the names? Dear, Amelie, Lilica. How wonderful to hear that you are doing well. Oh, I guess it's gonna come down here. How wonderful to hear that you're doing well. I've been very busy this week, but most of it is boring, so I won't bog you down with the details. But... Oh, yes! Oh, this is weird. But do you know what happened just yesterday? Of course you don't, you weren't there. I was walking home when I found an abandoned kitten. Someone left it in a box on the side of the road. How could anyone do that? Anyway, I took her home and named her Amelie. Lily. After you. It's a little embarrassing writing it out like that. I hope you don't mind. Yours? Oh, so they had a cat named Lily? Oh, that music is still so creepy. Oh, you get to read them all. Dear Amelie Lilica, I've spent the past week studying. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy it, but everyone needs a break, you know? On my desk I have a little cactus in a pot, and to be honest, a cactus wasn't my first choice, but I've killed every other plant I've ever owned. Anyway, it bloomed. There's one beautiful flower coming out of it. I couldn't be happier. So that makes studying easier. I think your environment makes a big difference. How about you? Do you have any plants? I'm looking forward to hearing about it next time. Yours, Sophia Marion. Look ahead. Dear Amelie Lilica, today was tough. I tried my hardest, but I still failed. Don't you think life is unfair sometimes? I wish trying hard enough was all it took to succeed. Sorry, I'm whining, aren't I? I came out of my interview when it was raining. I thought, just my luck. But then something interesting happened. A rainbow in the distance peeked out behind the grey clouds. It reminded me of you, and I felt a little better. I hope we can meet soon. Yours, Sophia Marion. Oh, She ripped the letters from the wall and clutched it to her chest, collapsing to her knees. She couldn't hate me. She couldn't. She adores me like I adore her. She entrusted her everything to me. Everything. Her everything. Amelie. The letters dropped from her fingers that were neither cold nor warm. You want me to get rid of that disease, don't you? You won't accept me until I protect Amelie. Is that right, my lady? I'd do anything. Anything you ask, so that's all I have to do. Then I will do it. I'll keep Amelie safe. Forever. Lilica stood from the ground and dusted off her skirt. Her face that had previously contorted and distressed had finally calmed, and her smile gently crept onto her face. I love you, my lady. And for you, I will love Amelie too. I should light the sconces too. Where did I put those matches? Right here. Huh? You gave me a fright, Lilica. Where have you been? Preparing the guest room for your dear friend, of course. How kind. Sophia is just preparing for a bath at the present. I'm going to retrieve a towel for her from the linen closet. Amelie, I think it's best you send her home post-haste. What? Why would I do that? For all you know, she brings with her the plague. Sophia says it's safe to travel. You say Mother is returning soon. It would be perfectly fine. It should be perfectly fine, don't you think? And what if she lies? She wouldn't do that. Sophia is a kind and good-natured person. She would not bring danger. She would not bring any danger to us. Did you know that Sophia attends a local university? And she lives by herself with no husband. She says that if I wanted, I could also study. Study? Study. She wants to leave the house? No, she can't leave. She can't go anywhere. She belongs here. She was entrusted to me. The lady of the house should not study, Amelie. You must stay inside the house and await your parents. But I'm sure Mother would want the best for me. Perhaps while I await her, I could go to inspect Sophia's school. Amelie, you must stay inside and await your parents' return. But don't you trust me? Have I ever led you astray? No, Lilica. I was just thinking that perhaps it truly is beginning to be safe. Look, I have brought today's newspaper. Do you see the title? The plague runs rampant. Put any notion of leaving or staying or studying away for now, yes? As soon as it is truly safe to do so, then we shall, and you shall be reunited with your family. For now, it is just you and me. Thanks, Lilica. I'm glad you're here. As am I. The towel. Let me go retrieve it. Go ahead. Alone, Lilica stared at the bathroom door, which was shut tight. Behind it, she could hear the water running. She could picture Sophia's body, slowly shedding its layers of clothing before she stepped into the hot water. The image was enough to force her hand. The running water sloshed into the steel-lined wooden tub. A state-of-the-art system. No one else in the country owned anything like it. But how many years ago was that? How long had it been? Sophia leaned against the sink, her bone-white knuckles grasping either side of it. Her back was turned to Lilica. If she wanted, she could stab her in the back and be over with it. No. I need to keep Amelie's trust. She needs to leave or go somewhere she'll never be found. Or do it herself. Sophia lifted her face to the mirror, then froze. Her eyes bore into it as if she was seeing something she shouldn't. Lilica stared back, unmoving. Leave. Leave already. Who? One step at a time, maintaining eye contact through the mirror, Lilica crept closer, closer and closer, until the two were nearly touching. Why do you want to take Amelie away? Can't you see that she loves me? Me, not you. Your words are poisoning this household. If you want to leave, if you don't leave, I'll kill you. I'll have no choice. I'll just kill you. Who are you? Sophia whipped around, but her eyes didn't focus on any spot in particular. To her, Lilica was gone. Lilica walked towards an open cabinet and pulled something out. The metal of the razor glinted. Lilica raised it up, and she moved to stand over the bath. With ease, the metal cut into her arm. Drops of blood fell into the water, leaving tiny splashes where they connected. Blood still runs in my veins after all. Sophia rushed past Lilica, desperate to turn off the overflowing water before she froze once again. The water was a deep, dark red. Her slender fingers dipped into the liquid as if she were entranced. One layer at a time, she stripped bare, her expression hollow and lifeless. Lilica watched as her naked body stepped into the crimson water. Why not just end it here? You're scared, aren't you? Just sink down. Accept your fate. Accept it. You can hear me now, can't you? Whoa, this is creepy. Creepy. Why not just end it? You're scared. You're so terrified. You just came here to see your friend, and look what's happening to you. Amelie. Yes, Amelie. Amelie, where did you go? Where are you? Amelie, I want to see you. Shut up. You don't deserve to speak her name. You don't deserve to be in her presence. Why don't you just give up? Just sink deep into the abyss. Isn't it inviting? Sink. Right, I should. Isn't the water so warm and inviting? That's right. Just sink down into it. Then you'll finally be able to rest. Amelie, you... A knock came from the door. Lilica's widened eyes went from the door to the young woman in the bath, then back again. Excuse me, I'm coming in. Lilica ducked behind the folding screen just in time to hear the door open. Sophia, I knocked but didn't hear a reply. I brought you a towel. She didn't wait any longer. As Amelie stepped into the room to set down the towel, Lilica quietly dashed out into the hall. Before Lilica had a chance to even catch her breath, the bathroom door opened once again, and Amelie stepped out with flushed cheeks. Did you tell her that she must depart? No, Is something the matter? Are you feeling unwell? Your face is bright red. Sophia will be staying until she decides to leave. No, she must leave now, tonight, no longer. As you wish. I'm sorry, Lilica, but I believe it is only fair, after she travelled so far, and she is my friend. That woman, that siren, look at what she does to our Amelie. I will finish preparing the guest room. Let me come help. Sophia, when you're done in there, you can come to your room. From the other side of the door, Sophia's voice came in return. Okay, thanks, Amelie. The guest bedroom was freshly cleaned, with new linen on the bed and a lit lantern beside it. Fortunately, Lilica had prepared the room well in advance. You did a fine job preparing the room so far. Thank you, Lilica. Anything for you. I was thinking, tomorrow if the rain has cleared up, we could open the greenhouse again and have morning tea there. It's been so long since we last used it. By now, a dozen cracks stemmed from a dozen other cracks, filling the entirety of Lily's world. At any moment, even a breeze would be able to... would make everything collapse. Didn't we already speak of this? You cannot leave the house. But surely the greenhouse would be safe. No one else uses it and is only a few steps from the back door. It is unsafe. You know this. What has gotten into you? Is it because of your friend? I just thought it would be nice to at least sit in the sun. Then you may sit by the window in the dining hall. Is it really so unsafe that even taking a foot outside would be dangerous? Yes. Sophia, I see you're done with the bath. Lilica crossed her arms over her chest, anger already rising in her chest. Were you talking about the greenhouse? Yes. Did you see it when you arrived? I did, but it looked as if the plants inside had died. Oh, that's impossible. It's barely been any time at all since the gardeners left. I'm sure the plants inside are more sturdy than that. Well, even if they have died, maybe we could go in and replant some things tomorrow. How wonderful! Have you not heard a word I said? It is unsafe to do so. Oh, don't be such a spoil sport. I think it will be perfectly fine. Well, it's getting late now, so I'll leave you to retire. If you need anything, my room is just upstairs on the left. Good night, Sophia. Poison dripped from her voice as Lilica left the guest room behind. The house had a heart, and the heart was beating to the same rhythm as Lilica's. It was frenzied, on the verge of losing control. It echoed through her head, through the hall, through to every corner of the building. Like Morse code, it was as if the house itself was telling her to do something. Get rid of her. Cut out the disease. Protect Amelie. She bit her thumb, pacing back and forth. Amelie will be upset. But Amelie doesn't need anyone else. She has me. She won't be upset for long. And she'll forget. That's right. She'll forget. Her breath hitched in her throat. But what do I do? What do I do? She just won't die. My lady, what am I supposed to do? At that moment, Lilica put her ear to Amelie's door, listening intently. How about coming away with me for a while? Away? Outside of the house? What about the sickness? Away? Outside the house? It's okay. You'll be okay. You could stay at my house. I could show you around my school. You don't have to go through an arranged marriage if you don't want to. Lilica's hands balled into fists at her side. You would do that for me? You are my dearest friend, and I actually... You think you can take her away from me? Lilica balled her fists. Lilica's balled fists slammed against the door. Each one set a pain shooting up her arm all the way to her shoulder. Inside, the voices went quiet. Destroy her fate.
She doesn't belong to you.
Lilica? Finally, Lilica snapped out of her daze. At some point, Amelie had left the guest bedroom and was standing a short distance away from her, looking worried. Instantly, she drew a deep breath and composed herself. But her heart still beat as loud as a drum, and the cracks that seemed to be centered around Amelie were still spreading at an increasing rate. It is late. You should retire to your bedroom. Yes, I shall. It's nice having someone else around, isn't it? I feel as if the manor is coming back to life. I hope we can see Mother and Father soon. I'm sure we will. Shall I see you to bed? Yes, please. The hallway was darkened, with only a few sconces and candles lit along the way, and Lilica relished in it. On a night like this, long ago in the past, she had sealed her fate, along with Amelie's. And tonight, she would seal the fate of yet another person. The two rose up the grand staircase, side by side. Moonlight drifted in through the stained glass window. This seemed to be the only place free from those cracks. If she squinted, she could almost see it, almost hear it. That head, hitting each step with a loud thunk. Those eyes would never open again to look upon a woman with scorn. That hand would never be raised to leave a mark on pristine skin. The sound filled her with joy, and the thought of repeating that fateful night left her footsteps light with excitement. Lilica, may I ask you a question? Certainly. Have you ever heard of a woman loving another woman as a woman would love a man? Where did you hear about such a thing? Nowhere in particular. It was just a thought that came into my mind. I think you are overtired because of all the excitement, Amelie. I think it best you get some rest. Yes. All right. Good night, Lilica. Lilica, who was seated on the edge of Amelie's bed, stood with unsteady feet. Standing in the doorway, she looked back at Amelie. Good night, Amelie. Sleep well. Tomorrow everything will be better. Lilica stepped out of the bedroom, shutting the door softly behind her. The hall was still dark, with only a few candles to light her descent. It was quiet. Everything was asleep. The eyes that followed Lilica wherever she went were closed. The voices that crept up from between the floorboards were silent. Somehow, that only made Lilica more uncomfortable. But that didn't matter. Not now. She knew where she was going and what she must do. She inched closer and closer to that door that held behind it a sickness named Sophia. It was closed tight. Lilica raised her hand, almost as if to knock, but pushed it open and entered. Just as the hallway was dark, so was the guest room bedroom. The lanterns had been blown out only a short while ago. No sound came from the bed. All was still. closer and closer until she stood over the bed like a shadow. The woman underneath her kept her eyes shut tight. Her face was calm and serene. Lilica couldn't help but smile as her hands wrapped around her fragile pink neck. Her fingers dug into Sophia's flesh, so soft and easily bruised. Still, she didn't even shift. For some reason, that made Lilica even more furious. But as the young woman named Sophia laid as still as a statue, her mind wandered back to another that had once done the same in this very house. A young woman who had left Amelie in Lilica's care, who had only wanted the best for her daughter, had only wanted her to be happy. The problem is she'll leave. That's the problem, isn't it, my lady? The cold fingers slowly unwound from Sophia's throat. That she'll leave and take Amelie away. But if she stays, then won't Amelie be happy? She'll be so happy, always, forever. And then maybe you can. Lilica withdrew from the room in a rush, her feet carrying her faster than they ever had before, through the halls, up the stairs, and into Amelie's bedroom once again. The bed was warm and inviting. Lilica enveloped herself in that heat, wrapping her arms around Amelie tightly. Lilica? Do you want Sophia to stay here forever? What? She'll leave if we don't do anything about it. She'll leave, and you'll never hear from her again. That's not true, Lilica. She wouldn't just do that. My dear Amelie, I spoke to her just a moment ago. She was already packing up her bags. At that, Amelie rubbed her eyes and sat up. It can't be true. Go check for yourself. Amelie, not wasting even a single moment, walked towards her door and peered down. From there, the moon was shining in through the stained glass just right, illuminating the hallway below. In the distance, a shadow could be seen moving. Lilica smiled. See? Lilica picked up a toy doll that still sat on Amelie's bed, a relic from the past. Its straw-colored hair almost seemed to stand on end. Don't you want to keep her here? Don't you want her to be like this doll? Keep her here. Right. Your own special doll that will never leave you. Don't worry. I'll make it happen. Just for you. I'll make sure you're happy forever. Go down the hall to my room behind the bookcase. Wait for me. Amelie's eyes had glazed over, as if she wasn't truly there. She stood from the bed and picked up a small black case that rested on her nightstand before leaving the room. It wasn't long after that Lilica followed in her footsteps, just in time to see Sophia ascending the staircase. She walked straight past Lilica, who was smiling happily, and approached Amelie's door. She knocked. The door fell open with a groan. Amelie? Are you in here? Amelie's waiting for you. From somewhere hidden in the darkness, a fragile melody filled the air. Almost instantly, Sophia turned towards the sound and began to follow. Lilyka sped up enough to walk beside her. Isn't this just great? You like Amelie, don't you? Don't you want to make her happy? She would be ecstatic for you to stay forever. So why don't you help her? Be happy forever. She offered no answer. They entered the room together. In the center of a room, surrounded by candles, Amelie sat. Her skirt fanned out around her. Spread out over the floor were piles of letters. Upon closer inspection, each was filled with words that had been crossed out and signed with yours, Marion. Amelie, are you awake? Her eyes were shut tight, yet her hands moved enough to play the sorrowful tune. Please listen to me, Amelie. Lilyka she isn't... I'm not what? You're going to leave her, aren't you? Lilyka shut the door, dragging a heavy lock across. In response, Sophia rushed backwards and tried the handle to no avail. Amelie's eyes finally opened. In place of her usual golden eyes was a glare of deep red. Amelie, snap out of it, please, snap out of it. You want to take her away? Amelie, please. One at a time. Lilyka blew out the candles on the floor. The room was plunged into darkness. Amelie fell forward, her body exhausted. It's nice to meet you, Sophia. I'm sure you're going to have a lot of fun. I'm sure you're going to have a fun time living together. Since you will be staying with us after all, right? Lilyka, could you pass the sugar? Of course, Amelie. With a smile, Lilyka pushed the sugar towards the across the table towards Amelie. She picked up the teaspoon and dropped a single cube of sugar into her tea. Would you like one, Lilyka? No, thank you. Just being around you makes my tea sweet enough. And you, Sophia? You're awfully quiet today. I'll just give you one. Next to Amelie sat Sophia. Perfect and pristine. To Amelie's eyes, at least. But Lilyka saw the truth. Her flesh convulsed and pulsated. Her eyes bulged from what was once her head. The shape of Sophia was gone, and in its place was a mound of a person who used to be. Lilyka smiled. You know she likes sugar in her tea. There's no need to ask. You're right. What? She's some sort of flesh Fleshbound? What? I'm so happy. Sophia, Lilica, you're both so important to me. Thank you for being by my side. Anytime. Isn't that right, Sophia? From now on, it's just the three of us. Lilica, 3 of 3. The three of us. Whew. So, 1 of 3 for Lilica. Oh. Ooh, she's wiggling. That's weird. Okay. That marks almost the 3.5-hour mark, which has been about what I've been doing the last couple of days. So I don't think I actually need to save anything for this, do I? No, because I finished. I'll just continue to. No, just back to a save. As awful as it is to stop with only 2 endings left, I'm going to call the stream for today, and I encourage everyone to go and buy Amelie because it's only a couple bucks, and see, it's so interesting. I'm not sure what options will change, if the lying ones, or if there are anything else that will pop up in another playthrough. I'm deeply concerned about what state Sophia is in at this point. She sounds like it doesn't sound like she even has a skull anymore. So that's an image that I'm gonna leave everyone with. So again, that was Amelie from 2.5 Studios. Check out Storytellers event, which will be starting very soon, like the next couple of days. There'll be over 200 games within that sale. Amazing visual novels and narrative fictions. Lots of amazing developers. So check us all out. Tomorrow I was going to be doing the in-between, followed by Start Again the next day, and then Hard Agency the next day. At the beginning, the in-between and Hard Agency, I'm planning on doing a little sneak preview of what our Patreon is. What our patrons can see on my betas here on Patreon, obviously. So that shows a lot of our progress there. But I think I am kind of very much not used to doing this anymore. So I was going to do 6 days in a row, but I think I'm going to amend my schedule just a little bit and take tomorrow off, and then come back on the on the day after. So for me tomorrow is Monday, and I stream at 10 a.m. So it'll be just pushed back 24 hours. So move everything back a day. I'll post a new version of the schedule. Everyone to see it on my Twitter. If you do want to see me play more things, we've got a Discord, Twitter. My Discord links to my studio, so you can see all my games in there as well. And thank you so much for joining me. I also have a Ko-fi that you can donate to, or send suggestions to on what you want to see me play or cover. I have a little membership there that subscribers can get MP3s of the song covers that I do. I'm really hoping to start getting back to things a little bit more now that I have reached such a milestone with my game, with the in-between. It's been absorbing absolutely everything of my being. So I'm hoping going forward that I'll be able to do some other things a little bit more. So thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you for the next stream on Tuesday, 10 a.m. Sydney time, which should be Monday, 5 p.m. CST. Time zones are hard. So thank you, and I will hopefully see you all then.